Good morning, children. Welcome back to your English literature class. In the previous class, we read the first three stanzas of the poem The Camel's Complaint. Today, we will read the last two stanzas. But before that, let me remind you the first three stanzas that we have already learned. So, in the first stanza, the camel said that he doesn't have any preference of food as compared to the other animals like canary birds, parrots, and poodles. The camel can be given anything to eat, unlike the other animals. In the second stanza, he describes his agony and suffering as he doesn't have a particular place to sleep. The other animals like cats, chickens, oysters and puppies have a special place to take rest on. On the other hand, the camel has not given any place to rest. In the third stanza, we have seen him that he has compared himself with lambs, hens, kittens, and pigs. Unlike these animals, he is only provided an uncomfortable place full of sand. So these are the three stanzas that we have learned in our previous class. Now let us start from the fourth stanza of the poem. Now students, change the page, that is page number 13. We will read the fourth stanza now. People would laugh if you rode a giraffe or rode the back of an ox. It's nobody's habit to ride on a rabbit or to try to ride a fox. But as for a camel, he carries families. Any load is okay for me. So here we will see that the camel is complaining about the heavy load that he has to carry in the scorching heat of the sun amidst the desert. People would laugh if you rode a giraffe. What is rode? Rode is the past tense of ride. People would laugh at you if you try to ride on a giraffe because nobody rides on a giraffe. Okay, so people will also laugh at you if you try to ride on an ox also because nobody also ride on an ox. It's nobody's habit also to ride on a rabbit. Obviously, we don't sit on the rabbit to move on from one place to go on to from one place to another place. We don't do that. Or to try to ride a fox. Obviously, we don't ride a fox also. Okay. But as for a camel, so here the camel has mentioned the four animals, giraffe, ox, rabbit and fox, to mention his plight, his wretched condition, so that we can compare and contrast and we can understand the camel only lives in a very wretched condition where he has to carry families, the heavy load, okay, to cross the desert in the scorching heat of the sun, okay, in the desert, in the burning sand, he has to carry the heavy loads and there is nothing that anyone can do. He needs to carry heavy loads on his back, okay. So any load is okay for me. Nobody cares to think that how he will carry such a heavy load. Nobody understands his pain. He is alone in the world where nobody understands his pain, his suffering. So here the camel is complaining about the heavy load that he has to carry. Okay. Now let's read the last stanza. A snake is as round as a hole in the ground, and whistles are wavy and sleek, and no alligator could ever be straighter than lizards that live in a creek. But a camel's all lumpy and bumpy and humpy and any shape is okay for me. Here we will see the camel is complaining about the peculiar shape that he has. He doesn't have a perfect shape just like the other animals. So here the camel is complaining about his shape. A snake is round, like just like a hole in the ground. Just like there is a hole in the ground, a snake is perfectly round in shape. The whistles are wavy and sleek. Whistles are the small furry carnivorous mammals who has long elongated necks, okay, and short legs. So these whistles, they are wavy and they have a very glossy and silky structure. But the outer layer of their body is very sleek or wavy. No alligator could be straighter than lizards that live in a creek. So alligators are very similar to crocodiles. They are also straight just like the lizards. The lizards who live in a creek. Creek means the narrow area near the water or gulf or bay. That is called creek. So lizards live in a creek, and alligators and lizards are also straight. They have a particular shape in their body. But a camel is all lumpy and bumpy and humpy. Lumpy means here bulging, uneven or bumpy. Okay, uneven. There is no particular shape that he has. So here the camel is complaining that God has given him no particular shape just like the other animals. So here he is also comparing his shape with the other animals. The other animals like snake, weasels, alligator and lizards. He is comparing his own figures, his own structure with the other animals, and he is complaining that he has not been given any particular shape just like the other animals. So the camel is such an animal that never gets any attention or love from any of us. We use them for our conveniences, we ride on them, we force them to carry heavy loads on them, but we don't take care of them. We can give them any food, we can give them any uncomfortable shelter on sand. Even God deprived him of any particular shape like the other animals. We human beings use animals for different purposes. We do experiments with them, with rats, with frogs, with alligators, with cockroaches. We do our experiments. We forced monkeys and elephants and tigers to do many courageous stunts in the circus also. So for our only for our enjoyment we do that. We use sniffer dogs also to find criminals. We use various other types of animals for our pleasure and for our necessity only. Animals suffer while helping human beings to fulfill their necessity. Sometimes they are neglected and ill-treated by us. Okay, but we don't seem to care for them. We are too selfish and too self-centered to think about them for the well-being of any other species around the world. Many animals has become extinct because of this. Okay, so students, we should because of our selfishness, so we also killed many of the species mercilessly. Several animals have become extinct from our earth because of our selfishness and because of our greed. Only love and care that all these animals need. Okay, they have the right to coexist with us in this universe. This we must not forget at any cost. The poem also teaches us to embrace all our imperfections. And we should not complain about our discomforts and weaknesses anymore. God has made the camel lumpy, bumpy because it has to survive in the hot weather of the dust, and it also helped them to store water. So that is why the God has made them humpy and bumpy. So we must not question God's creation. Okay, there is a reason for everything. We must learn to be happy without our with our imperfections, and stop complaining ourselves with all the we should stop complaining about anything all the time. So the poet through the camel's complaint teaches us to love ourselves, okay, for who we are. Okay, students, I hope the camel's complaint is now clear to all of you. Thank you, students.